along the roof, just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the bleeding races. We went to bleeding races.
Oh, it's back through Bartes!
1862 on a summer's afternoon, we took the bus from Bambras and she was heavy laden. Where we went along Collinwood Street, that's on the road to Bladen. Whoa, me lads, you should have seen us gunning, passing the folks along the road just as they were standing. All the lads and lasses there, all with smiling faces, gathering along the Scotswood Road to see the Bladen races.
Good evening and welcome back to another video. John Sinclair TV back again as Fan Forums Night. I've got Tony Mason, we've got a special guest who is a Watford fan, and it's Carl. Big up to you, Carl, mate.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No problems at all. No problems
You're
at
welcome.
all. And you got Tony, you got Mason as well. And guys, if you like the video, like what you see, please hit the like button. Also have the honor to subscribe to my channel as well. It's free. And if you'd like to super chat, click on the $sign. If you'd like to become a member, click on the join button. It's 1.99p as well. It's free and you'll not be getting it at all. Tonight, we are going to talk about Joao Pedro being linked with Newcastle United for a couple of days now. Right? We offered them like 70 million quid. That's got rejected. Then we're going to go back in for another couple million on top, 20 million. But Watford wants 35 million quid, according to some newspapers or media, if you believe it. Carl, Watford fan, any Watford fans in the chat? Jen, just far away, welcome as well. And what I could do, I'll ask you first, Carl. So Joao Pedro linked to Newcastle United. Are you surprised, or is he good enough for the Premier League again?
Yeah, it's a good question. Am I surprised? I am a little bit. I think at the beginning of the season, everybody was talking about Sarr and Dennis. And if you had told me that Islam Sarr was going to Newcastle, I wouldn't be too surprised. I think Joao Pedro's he's a young player. He's got a lot to learn. Not just in terms of his football, but in terms of him as a person as well. I think he's a bit of a fiery character, and he's far from the finished article. And from somebody that watches him week in and week out, I was at Birmingham last night, and he had a terrible game, and obviously the rumour mill around there was that he's heavily linked. So, is it a case of that his head's been turned? It's hard to say, but he's got everything that you could want in a player, but he's not quite there yet, in my opinion. And I think another year with the club, with us, might help him for next year. But listen, if you're going to throw 35 million quid at me now, I'll drive him up there. That's no problem. I'll drive him up there.
Wow. I tell you what, me personally, I don't think he's worth 35 million quid. It's like James Manston ain't worth 60 million quid. But listen, at the end of the day, right, I mean, I watched himself. He's got the talent. It's there. He's only a young player. He's only, 20, right? And he's got a bright future in the game, right? He can handle the Premier League. But according to Newcastle fans, they're saying that he's not worth that money. People just say pass him by. I mean, Tony, you're one of them as well. You didn't want him at the club, so he ain't worth the money. You said originally he ain't worth the money. I mean, are you still sticking by that? Or would you say give him a chance if he comes?
Well, obviously, if he comes, we'll give him a chance. I mean, it's the rumours of how much we're actually paying. Depends what Watford's valuation is. I would imagine that if the valuation is too high, then I would think we would look elsewhere. But, at the end of the day, we've got to see how this guy performs. I mean, the last time I saw Joao Pedro play was when I was at St James's Park in January when he scored the equaliser in the 88th minute. I think he out-jumped the cells to score the equaliser. So it's a case of just seeing how he adapts. But, and I don't want this to sound disrespectful to Watford, because I'm not being disrespectful at all to Watford.
No, not at all, not at all.
But maybe with a Newcastle team that's got a few extra better players like Bruno, Joe Linton in the side, maybe he can learn off those players as well, and he might link up better. I mean, at the end of the day, if he signs, I'll back the lad 100%, you know, and hope he comes in and does well and be's a world beater, you know, if he wants to be. He's only 20, so he's got time to improve. And as Carl said, he's not even anywhere near his peak yet. He's not the finished article. So he's going to take a bit of time to adjust. But also on that, at 20-year-old as well, he doesn't take up a squad place either on the 25-man squad list. So you've got that advantage there as well. So we'll sort of see how it goes anyway. I mean, as Carl said, he had a bad game last night, but that could have been, even I thought that could have been down to the fact his head's turned. He's realised there's a move there and he's thinking, oh, hang on, do I play well here or do I go in for tackles? Because if I do and I get injured, that might scupper me and move to a bigger team. So he might not have wanted to get too involved in the game in case he picks up an injury. I don't know if Carl thinks the same, but that's the way I'm looking at it anyway. And the thing is, I'm going to ask Carl, what is his main quality and what's his actual position in the Watford team? Does he play as a striker or does he play on the wing?
Yeah, well, he's had a couple of positions. It's again another good question. Since he's been with the club 3 years now, he's really struggled to nail down a position. He was originally brought in as he played on the left side, and then he moved to the right side when Sarr was injured, and then more recently, he plays up the middle. He's comfortable in a free. I like him behind the front two, sitting in that number 10 role, and that kind of deals with what his attributes are, which his unpredictability is his biggest asset. And I think the goal against Newcastle, which that the run that he made to out jump, was it Lascelles he beat? If you watch it back, he's running in completely the wrong direction, and all of a sudden he changes his mind, and it's kind of that. And there's times where I've looked at him and gone, he's back in, he's towards the defence, and you're thinking, what the bloody hell are you doing there? You're playing up front today. It's like, so he's a bit of he's a real street footballer. Is probably the way I would describe him. He's very raw, flashes of greatness. Some of the stuff he can do with a football, I haven't seen in my time. We're talking sort of Luther Blissett, John Barnes days, since we've seen stuff like that. So, as I say, he's got a gift. It's just, I think he really struggles with, depending on what manager he plays under, and he's played under a few at Watford, as you'll know our history. He really struggles to find somebody who can put an arm around him and coach him. That's what he needs. He needs a coach. Eddie Howe's probably really good, really well placed to do that. He's done it before. He made Josh King look like a good player at Bournemouth. We got him, and he was, Jesus Christ. Less said about that, the better. But he needs somebody that can coach him, because he's not anywhere near the finished article. If I'll give you just a quick example, and then I'll let you. Richarlison. We had Richarlison at Watford. He was twice the player Joao Pedro is now, and we sold him for 50 million, just because he could read the game and he could be in the right position. Joao's not. That's a frustration. He doesn't read the game. As a striker, he doesn't get in those positions that you want him to get into. Sometimes it'll come. Like we've said, he's a young player, but I think that the money that Watford are banding around, the 35 million, is not because we think he's worth 35 million. Is more, or two reasons. One, as soon as Newcastle are involved in a conversation with one of your players, it's fairly renowned that you've got a few quid now. So people are going to hang on for as much of that as they can. So Watford are no different to that. And, all credit to my club for that, because the business that we've done this season in terms of turning profit on players has been fantastic. And hopefully if this deal does go through, Joao Pedro will be another success story with us. But for Newcastle fans and for players that are thinking, you know, what sort of player are we going to get? I don't know. I think you've got better options at the club already, and I'm being genuine with you. You know, I don't think he's going to add what you need now, you know, because you want to go and push on.
That sounds a very good comment there, mate, because the fact of what, it's the end of the day, for what you're telling us, I'm on two minds to this one, by the way. I mean, you split the Newcastle fans, split the nation, yeah? People say, oh, we've got to give him a chance. And some people are saying, oh, we got to, he ain't good enough, sort of thing. He's not ready for Newcastle. We need someone's going to be there, ready and now, sort of thing. We haven't got time potential. We need to get on with it. Do you know what I mean? So, look, like I said, I back the guy if he comes in. Yeah, I mean, Watford's getting the money for it as well. Mason, your take on the Joao Pedro situation, my friend?
For me, it's a young player. It's a young striker we've been looking for. Obviously, we know what happened with Ekiteke, and they've been looking for young strikers, and they found Joao Pedro. When I thought when he signed for Watford, I thought he was going to be the new Richarlison, but I think it hasn't worked out. But
no, it's a fair comment. Yeah.
If he comes to Newcastle, he's got two players of the same nationality who will bed him in, be more comfortable in the city, in the club, and he's got an experienced striker as well with him, and who will learn a lot. So if he comes off, I think he'll do a bit better from his time at Watford. No disrespect to Watford, but if they sell him, they've got a few strikers anyways. The two lads who they've just brought in, and they've got that the Venezuelan who I can't pronounce his second name.
Peñaranda.
Yes, that's it. That's him.
He's gone.
Has he?
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah. We treat strikers like we treat managers. They go out the door.
It's not good enough.
Yeah. No. It's just what you said there. You're spot on with the Richarlison comment. From Watford fans, that's what we wanted. We wanted another Richarlison. We wanted a player that was going to develop. The one player that will have a say in this transfer, and there is a Brazilian player that he does speak to, ex-Watford, ex-Spurs, Aurelio Gomes, who was obviously ex-Watford goalkeeper. Sorry, my iPad's going off in the background there. He's very close to Aurelio, so he will. I'm sure he'll be part of the decision making in what happens with Joao Pedro's future. And the big thing for Joao Pedro at the moment is he's a young guy. He's 20 years of age. He has to be playing football. If he goes to Newcastle, there's no guarantee of playing football. There's a lot. He's a big fish in a small pond at Watford at the moment. He's probably one of the first names on the team sheet week in and week out. He goes up there. He's not. He's now the small fish in a very, very big pond. You know, with the money, the investment, the facilities, and you lot, the fans. It's a different culture up there, football, to what he's used to. So. From a young player, the chance to go to Newcastle, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? You know, especially now, especially what the future holds for Newcastle. I just feel it's a tiny bit too soon for him. You know, give him a year in the Championship, get us back into the Premier League, and then see where he is. Absolutely. I just feel now this is a step in the wrong direction for him. Great financially, I'm sure. Great for the experience, but not necessarily for his career.
Yeah, I think you make a fair point there, Carol, because at the end of the day, I thought this as well. Excuse me, I thought as well. Because you should sell Watford for another season and then hopefully come to the Premier League over the bigger club next season, sort of thing. So I'll go through this comments, by the way. Big up to Pablo, by the way. Pablo, I'm giving to you, mate. Hope you're fine. I passed on Pedro. I'd rather have the lad from Benfica, which is Ramos. Big up to Colin, by the way. Also to Straffy, Tom, Gordon, and others as well. Randy, big up to you, mate. We've all said the same about Bellamy, and look how he turned out. £6 million he cost us back in 2001. And I thought, Craig, who? but he was absolutely fantastic. Brilliant. And Tom, again, given that we're targeting Ekiteke, we're after your own players or potential rather than a finished article. That means, to me, you're going for a youth project. Arsenal Mark II, maybe. And the valuation, it may not be as market value, but Watford don't need to sell. So in that situation, you need to pay a little more. 35 million quid. I'm not sure. And big up to Foxy Band. Now, he's the expert of South American. Tim Vickery, he's not, but he knows everything about South American football. So if you've got any South American questions, from Watford especially, he's a guy to ask. And he said, do you think Watford only paid 3.6 million for Joao Pedro and most likely to sell 30 mil at some point? Pedro leaving gives Aspila more wins or minutes, which is good for Watford. He'll be your superstar.
He's quality. I saw him last night at Aspria. He played against Birmingham. He's fantastic.
Wow. Big high hopes for this kid then. Pedro has potential still, early 20. Great dribbling, but at 30 mil, it's a risk. Could develop his game under Howe and more goals to his game, but was more impressed with him at Fluminense than Watford. I mean, he scored a hat-trick in one of the games with Fluminense once upon a time, played his first game, and he absolutely nailed it, and they thought he's the next best thing. We can still come with Pedro in a bit. Pedro's the future. That's in Straffy. We got Straffy, by the way. But do you think we need a striker for now? Still want Lucas Paqueta. Straffy, we need a centre forward. Because if Callum Wilson gets injured, we are knackered. Because Chris Wood, I cannot trust. Let's be real about it. We only got 2 strikers at the club. Callum's one of them. Chris is the other. We need a striker ASAP. For me, I'll go and just go for the 17 million quid and go for Alex Isak for Sociedad. Pay the money, pay the release clause, buy a clause, get him in. If not, me personally, I'll go for Ivan Toney. I'll definitely go to Ivan Toney 110%. Because that guy is absolutely brilliant. He has learned.
He's the finished article now.
That's the difference.
Yeah. I agree. Watford missed out on him a good few years ago when he was at Peterborough. And, what a player he turned out to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Great player. I mean, I'd take him tomorrow. I know people's going to think, what's this guy on about? We don't want him because of his attitude. Well, no. All I'm interested in is Ivan to score goals on the pitch. What he does for that is up to him. I think he needs someone better or as good as Wilson. Yeah, Ivan Isak or Toney. I like Pedro, and with the right management, it could be a good buy. But then again, so could Ramos. That's on Colin. And big up to real facts, by the way. If the unsuccessful transfer sagas of United will continue, where will Man U finish? Tell your opinions of Ronaldo and without Ronaldo, mate. With Ronaldo, right? I'm thinking personally, I think they need to kick him out, in my opinion, because no one ain't bigger than the club. If it's actually just wrong, kick him out. And without him, I think United will be knackered. Because you look at that team, Carl, off topic. I don't know if he's good. I don't know. Bottom of the Premier League, what do you make of that? Are you surprised? Or do you think they stay there?
I mean, if Man United were to get relegated, it would be like England winning the World Cup for me. I've got to be honest. It's about time they felt what the rest of us feel. Yeah, it's a strange one. Man United have never recovered since Fergie. And no matter what they tried, and look at, I'll give them, Man United fans, look at David Moyes now. He's been trusted, given time, opportunity at West Ham. Not necessarily the biggest budget, but he's been given time and opportunity, and they're playing European football. So you got to look back at your decisions, as Man United fans, and go, and it's all right. Gary Neville spouting off on Sky about what the club is, and they're an average, mid-table Premier League side now. It doesn't matter about the size of their, especially look, Newcastle's money that's coming through. If you're a Man United fan, you will be bricking it.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say you're absolutely right, Miz. We've got Macy, Devils United. She's a big United fan. Love her to bits, by the way. She's not very happy at all whatsoever. She was only in tears after half-time against Brentford. I can't laugh, but she was in tears. But hey-ho. I got one for Billy. I love Billy, but I would have loved him to call me short and neat. Like, he would have made a huge difference. I think Pedro has a massive future. He was the best player on the park in the ones he's drawn at St. James's last season. Do that consistently, and the money will be irrelevant. And consistency comes with experience, Tony.
Great comment. Yeah.
Yeah. Great comment. Yeah. And Billy's right. Billy's right. Yeah, he was the best player on the pitch that day for Watford. Definitely. I mean, they had a couple of January signings that just started that game, playing their debuts in that game as well. Yeah.
I was still on oxygen at that
thing.
game, being in the away end, getting all up them stairs.
Yeah. I just think, yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got to do consistency. That's the thing. But, you know, Eddie Howe's a good manager, knows what he's doing. Look what he's done to Joe Linton. Joe Linton was the worst striker in the Premier League. Now he's one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, you know.
He's playing midfield now, isn't he? Is he midfield now?
Yeah.
Midfield. Yeah. No. Eddie Howe, there's a link there with Watford as well. He's a good man manager, a good coach. And I think if he can get, and Joao Pedro needs that. I said that the crack of this, he needs somebody that can coach him and motivate him. You know, not just. He was dreadful. We had Roy Hodgson. He was dreadful under Roy Hodgson. Just didn't play for him. Just wasn't interested. So yeah, he definitely needs someone that can give him some time and an arm around him.
Yeah, I have to agree there. Totally agree. We should buy him and loan him back to Watford for another year and go and get Managerial for PSG. Oh, mamma mia. Bilanti la lenta. He's billing for Inter Milan. And look, at the end of the day, right, if someone told us to say Cardi's coming to Newcastle, I'd take him. But the way he left Inter, left a nasty taste in the Inter's fans' as God. But at the end of the day, right, I mean, he couldn't get against PSG. He's happy to pick up their wages. However, if he is going to leave PSG, he'll end up going back to Italy. Monza wants him on the season-long loan, and PSG said no. So move on from that. We've got one. Would you take him back on loan after he signed us? Take him a year's loan and then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think if
experience there.
Yeah, the sooner the saga for that is over, the better for us. I've got to be honest.
I agree. Roger's in the cut. It's all in mod. So even to Roger, Gareth Cooper, Gideon to you, mate. Pedro's 20-year-old with Premier League experience. Get the lad in. Yeah, that's fair enough. Purvis Stupian has just joined Brighton from Villarreal for a bargain 50 mil as Cucurella's replacement. Surprised Watford never played him once. 4 years of loans. Was it work permit issues?
No. So there's a number of players that we've signed. That's one of them. Watford have for anybody that doesn't know, the way that the scouting system works, we use Udinese in Italy as part of that. Yeah, and it's a huge scouting network, heavily invested in South America. Hence why we're starting to bring some of these players through. There's a couple of players, another lad called his name. Who's the guy that used to bite everyone? He's got the same name as him. Used to play for Liverpool. Suarez. Yeah, Luis Suarez. Yeah. So exactly, not him. Not Bitey. But he went on loan to Granada, all over the place, and again was a player that we never actually played. Never played any minutes for us. But we made I think there's a £10 million profit on him by just having him on the books and loaning him out. And some of them are work permit issues. Panurenda that was mentioned earlier had 2-3 seasons of permit issues because when they're registered to certain South American countries, it's almost like they have to be guaranteed a certain amount of football. Watford won't do that. So they loan them to Spanish and Italian clubs to get around the work permit issue. After 2 years, then they can come to the UK. So it's a bit of juggling the plates, keeping them spinning just to see if anything comes of them. The majority of them, the players that we sign, we don't actually see at Vicarage Road. They might go to Italy at Udinese, or they might be at the training ground, and that's it. You know, there's a good few that happens with. So you see, the Villarreal link is heavy as well. So there's loads of money being made that way for Watford. It's a bit of a revenue stream, I think, at the moment for us.
Yeah, and you spend big as well, don't you? When you spend like quite a few, 20+ million, 25 million, I think. And you spend well, Watford, on good players. Yeah,
the biggest money we spent was Sarr, which is out of our comfort zone because the idea, the idea of the Watford model is to bring in players like Richarlison, like at a lower cost, 5 million sort of max, Dennis, for instance, 3 million we paid for him. We've just sold him to Nottingham Forest for 20 million plus add-ons. So in less than a year, we've made 17 plus million quid. Now, any football club of our size that's turning over that revenue is in the right place. So, you know, we get hounded for the management situation and like that, and rightly so, because it does my head in. But I think where it comes to turning a profit on young, up and coming players, we're very much in our own league for that. For me, for being a club our size, because we don't really have a big youth system. All the youth players that we've ever had, Jordan Sancho got stolen. You know, there's loads of players that have come through. Saka at Arsenal got stolen. So we don't really develop players at the club. We bring in these young South American lads and then try and ship them off. You know, for big money, really.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, that's your model. It works for you, and
Yeah.
you're going to continue to do so. They're not going to change one iota. That's the way it is. And if the managers don't like it, move on. We've got one for Paul William. Big up to you, Paul. You're new to the chat as well. 15 days left of the window. Lots of time for 2 or 3 additions for me. Ramos from Benfica and Pedro for Watford. Gallagher on loan from Chelsea. Mason, are we going to get all of them?
Hopefully, but I just want to ask a question.
Yeah.
With regards to the South Americans, do you not think that it's kind of similar to Brighton?
It's a similar model. I think Brighton tend to buy them a little bit more finished. Ours, we as I say, we don't really see the players as such for a period of time because they might go on loan, whereas they tend to be at Brighton and be in and around, you know, in some shape or form. So there are some similarities, but I think with our connection that our owners own another football club, it makes it a little bit more of a peculiar situation sometimes because the goalkeeper we signed in January last year, we didn't see him. He vanished, and now he's turned up this season. So it's like, oh yeah, I forgot I signed him. It's literally like opening a cupboard door and realising that you've got a striker in there. It's like, new striker, and he comes, but he might have been at the club on paper for 12 months before you see him. So it's a peculiar situation at Watford.
Yeah, I understand. Thanks.
No problem. Just look at one on the reports, right? About back to the Pedro thing. This agent is mystified by Watford blocking his transfer, and they're just so upset. They cannot understand why they don't accept the fee, so you can go to Newcastle United. They just cannot understand it at all. I mean, they think Watford's been a bit greedy.
Yeah, we are. We are.
You know
we are. Who wouldn't be though? Newcastle United have just turned up to buy one of your biggest assets. You know they've got billions in the bank. Why wouldn't you hold out for as much as you can? Look, that agent obviously wants paying. I get that. He wants to get his big money's worth. But
yeah,
you know, I'll be completely honest with you, yeah, and I will be shocked. Not shocked. I will be surprised if Joao Pedro is a Newcastle player this year. I generally don't think he's going to the club. Something's happened somewhere where it's his agent. We deal with a guy called Mogi Bayat, who is a particularly nasty creature in terms of football, and why Watford do business with him, I don't know. I don't think he's actually Joao Pedro's agent, but I think that there's a little conspiracy with regards to what's happening here. I'm sure Newcastle are interested in, and I'm sure there's a discussion being had. But as far as I know, and I'm not saying I've got contacts at the club or I've got inside information, the club, from a Watford point of view, they are very much, Joao Pedro is not for sale. And unless a silly amount of money is put on that table, I don't think the deal will happen. I generally don't. And I know they're banding that £35 million around, and it might not be 35 million flat rate. It might be 30 million with some add-ons or whatever it turns out to be. But I just feel that the club are going to hold strong with this because they were prepared for Sarr to leave. That's no problem. And if we were talking about Sarr now, I'd completely say, yeah, he's got to go and develop himself elsewhere. Dennis, who's already left us. But Joao Pedro was kind of always built up to be the team's going to be built around him for the next couple of seasons. And I'd be surprised if the club bringing in a new manager in Rob Edwards and telling Rob Edwards that all of a sudden your star striker is now going up to Newcastle for whatever it is, because we haven't got the time to reinvest that money. And that's the worry for us as Watford fans, that we sell Joao Pedro to you for whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is in terms of money, but it's what we do with that money now and reinvesting it, because the strikers that we have brought in this season, Minaj from Barcelona B, looks a half-decent player, but he's not a 20, 25 goal a season man, where in a championship where Joao Pedro probably is. So I don't know. I just think there's a little bit more to play out with this story before it happens. And I get where the media come into this, Sky and all that, because it's a massive story. Newcastle are interested in a championship player. That's a big story because it's Newcastle and they're a huge club and they've got lots of money, and Watford know that. So we want some of it if we're going to sell our best asset.
Wow. What do you think of that, Tolly?
Yeah, well, it is a bit of a bold statement, but I mean, to think, if Carl says, he's convinced that he won't come to the club, so that's thrown a different light on the subject. But yeah,
that's why we do it. It's about opinion. It's about opinions, isn't it? Football. That's why we all love it. It's meant
absolutely, mate.
It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, behind closed doors, we don't know what's going on. We don't know who's making decisions or who's talking or what. I mean, it could, like you say, there's a nasty agent there. It could be him trying to do it. It could be him trying to get an improved deal for him, maybe. We've had that many a time this summer already when we've tried to get players and all of a sudden they're signing a new contract and they get an improved deal. I'm not saying it's going to happen with Joao Pedro, but you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, I suppose you'll find out by the 1st of September if he's still a Watford player or if he turns up as a Newcastle United player.
I'll be honest, Tony. I reckon I'll find out Saturday when I'm at Preston North End, because if he's not playing at the Preston game, he's gone. But I was going to say I'll put my mortgage on it. That was stupid. No, I wouldn't. Jesus Christ. But I don't know. I've just got a sneaky suspicion that Joao Pedro will be playing for us on Saturday. If he's playing for us on Saturday, in my opinion, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, all depends how quick things go through.
Watford will want this deal done quickly. If there's a deal to be had, they will want this done quickly, because this is a massive moment in Watford's season. Joao Pedro leaves, it's rethinking time. It's what conversation have you had with the manager about who's coming in? Have you got a plan B? Who's replacing him? We're linked with another, and Foxy might be able to tell me his name because it escapes me. We're linked with another striker from the same club that we bought Joao Pedro from.
Fluminense.
Yeah, Fluminense. Yeah. So, and Brazil's transfer window, I think, finishes on Monday. I could be wrong, but if he's listening, he'll be able to tell us. So I'm pretty sure any deal with that club, with Watford, has to be done before Monday. So if that's not done, I don't know where the Joao Pedro thing sits, and it might be a case that the club say, "Look, give us till January, and then you can go wherever you want." I don't know. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I think from Watford's point of view, they will want this done very, very quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, I was going to say that if we get Pedro from you, we can always sweeten the deal. We can always send Chris Wood to you on loan.
No. I know Burnley fans. And they were jumping for joy when Chris Wood went to Newcastle. And I was like, hang on a minute, that's you relegated pretty much. Yeah, we know. But I was like, well, fair enough. But no, you're all right, thank you. No.
But the offer was there, you see.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, just going back to that comment you had up earlier, John, from I think Paul Williams. Where he said, that one there, where he said time for 2 or 3 additions: Ramos from Benfica, Pedro from Watford, and Gallagher on loan. I mean, the thing is with the Ramos deal, so we've got Wolverhampton Wanderers wanting him as well.
Yeah,
Southampton.
And Southampton. Well, I'm not being funny. Let's discount Southampton because I can't see him going there in a million years.
he's got more chance of going to Watford than Southampton.
Absolutely, yeah. So
Exactly.
we'll just push Southampton out the equation. So you've got Wolves and you've got Newcastle in the Premier League. Now, it depends what his ambitions are. Now, we know with Wolves, they've got a lot of Portuguese players. And obviously, if anybody hasn't heard, but last night, news broke from a Portuguese media outlet that the training camp in Poland, where Benfica are, Ramos wasn't there at all last night. So if anybody hasn't heard about that, he wasn't there. So with the Ramos deal, apparently there's a thing where Wolves say they want to get him on loan with an obligation to buy next summer. Now, if that gets agreed with Wolves, then we need to be in there with the same thing. Well, we want him on loan with the obligation to buy. And then that would also save on FFP as well if you're paying a £5 million loan for your front. And then you pay the rest of the money next season. But I look at it and I think, right, if you're Ramos and you want to play Champions League, and I'm not being disrespectful to Wolves in any way, shape, or form whatsoever, but between Newcastle and Wolves, who's got them? You're Ramos, and you think who's got the more chance of getting Champions League football? And the obvious answer you're going to look at is you're going to look at Newcastle because, I'm no disrespect, there's no way Wolves are going to break that top four. Doesn't matter how many Portuguese players they sign. You know, I know they're getting this Nunes in. He doesn't look a bad player, but they've all got a gel. But the thing is, with Ramos, if you want Champions League, or if your ambition is to play in the Champions League eventually, then there's only one team that's going to be, and that's going to be Newcastle over Wolves any day of the week. As I say, there's no way Wolves, unless if Wolves do break in the top four, then I do apologise, and I'll hold my hands up and say I got that wrong. But I can't see Wolves breaking in the top four at all. Maybe they'll get to Europe. They did under Nuno, didn't they, when he was there, Santos. So they did under him. Didn't do very well under Lager last year, did they? Finished about 9th, wasn't it? 8th, 9th, something like that.
Yeah, they've plateaued a bit now, haven't they? I think they've been found out a little bit after Nunes left. It just lost its sparkle there. And as you say, they just seem to be signing the same players. Forget they're Portuguese, but they're almost like the same type of players. They've probably got about 4 or 5 left-sided wingers that they just. I don't know. Yeah, it's a funny. Again, they're a strange way of doing business. But yeah, you're right in what you say. If you're looking for, Newcastle's a project, I think, and as a player, and I'll use Joao Pedro as that. As a player, the project is massive. It's exciting. It's something that you'd want to be a part of. It's the phoenix from the flames, really, isn't it? In terms of when I was growing up, Andy Cole and players like that. Remember Shearer. And then I obviously remember playing Newcastle in the Championship and things, when it wasn't so good. So, fair play to them. In the investment and everything's there now. The club look like they're settled, and with the owners that they've got, the fans now look like they're settled. And that's just from an outsider looking in. You see the ground full again, the noise that's coming from St James's Park again. And I'll say this, and I say this with the greatest respect. A couple of times when I went to St James's Park, I was sat up there in the gods on oxygen. It wasn't a place I feared, and it wasn't a place that other teams in the Premier League feared. Where it's probably going the other way now, which is only good for Newcastle. And I think as a player where you want to go and play your football is a project, and that's what Newcastle are going to be.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And obviously going on to the Gallagher on loan, I'm just wondering, will they let Conor Gallagher go, knowing that that Kante is out injured at the moment, and if they don't get Gordon over the line, they might not allow Conor Gallagher to go.
Yeah,
And I think the one to get on loan will be Pulisic more than anything.
Yeah,
I agree.
I can't see Chelsea letting him go out on loan. I think that would have to be a some special deal to make him. Yeah, for him to go. Yeah, I think they realised what a player he was when he basically ran Palace's midfield, didn't he, last season? So yeah, I'd be shocked if he went out on loan.
I mean, even Chelsea going in 45 million for Gordon, I think. Even so, that's still a risk in a way because he's only had one season in the Premier League.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He's got to have another season or two at Everton before you decide whether he's that sort of player.
I don't understand
Chelsea.
that deal. Yeah,
if he went to Chelsea, say for 50 million, he might flop, and then Chelsea look at that and think, "Oh, okay, what have we done? Yeah, we've bought the wrong player."
Yeah, you know, I'd be really surprised if he. Well, I mean, it's Chelsea at the end of the day. Anything's possible with them lot, but. Yeah, that's a big transfer and a risk. And you talk about risk with Joao Pedro. Is a huge risk for Chelsea there.
I think it'd be a risk personally with Gordon rather than Pedro as well. So we go through this comments there because I've overloaded. Is it Granada as well in Spain? Colombian Suarez. I heard of that name, by the way.
Who's that? Granada? Did he say Granada?
Yeah, Granada. Yeah,
yeah. That's where we. Yeah, that's where we had Suarez from. Yeah.
Exactly. Watford had been the blueprint for clubs who survive on transfers. Even the Eats, Blissett, Barnes, Gallagher, and Barnsley ran superbly financially. Think of the size they could have had.
Yeah.
Those names.
Yeah. What great shout there. Yeah.
Okay. And there's misconception in Newcastle. We do not have billions in the bank. That's a clone lad. You did the same with Cucho Hernandez.
Yeah.
Spain. At least he got one at Watford. You sold him so quick to MLS this summer. He's destroying that league at the minute. I can't understand why that you let him go.
We didn't want to. Yeah, we didn't want to let him go. The player wanted to leave. He had a few. Something happened last season actually, because he missed a couple of games. And he was adamant he wanted to leave pretty much towards the last sort of 10 games of the season. Watford have put in there's a massive sell-on clause in his contract, which is why he's gone there. And there's some reason he's gone to that particular part of the world as well. I don't know the full ins and outs, but there's a huge sell-on clause for him because he is a player. If you're talking about strikers, go and spend your money on him because he is a player.
He is a player. You could have done with him. He would have made a difference for your team, but he's gone.
30 million deal or 40 million plus Chris Wood, or 30 million, please.
Yay!
30 million.
I'll leave it there. Always good to have a different aspect. That's absolutely right, Gav. Absolutely right, mate. Sunderland's had a player sent off and they're goal down already. Thank you, Roger. We waited far too long. If you wanted to buy Pedro, they would have sold Sarr and Dennis. They won't want to sell him as well. I tell you what, well, he needs to make a decision very soon. Sheffield United are winning by 1-0. If Chris Wood swapping, Ramos is playing tonight. That's for the Clementon Wanderer. And thank you for that, mate. Ramos is injured, hence why he's not at training. That's from Clone Lad. He's injured. And Ramos is playing tonight against Kiev.
He's injured, but he's playing. He's doing one or the other.
Exactly. Get it right. Ramos is playing tonight for Benfica in the Champions League, and he has scored.
Oh, there you go.
There's your answer. Absolutely right. The energy and enthusiasm has been completely sat to the first for a number of years. That's what Ashley did. He destroyed our enthusiasm. From an outside looking in, right? I mean, did you agree with the takeover? We're happy with Newcastle United having a takeover, in your opinion, because of the Saudis and it's been
no, I'm not. I think we live in a world where you can't say anything that before it offends anyone, and you know, I get, look, different countries do different things. That's just the way of the world, and Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia, whether you like it or you don't. That's your opinion. I think if it was my club and Saudi billionaires turn up to take it over, would I be upset? Of course I wouldn't be. I'd be on cloud nine. So, you know, from a football perspective, of course, look, I'm a Watford fan. I want my club to be as big as best as it can. You guys are Newcastle fans, exactly the same. We got the same common thing, football, and the love of it. You know, your club picks you at the end of the day. And if somebody turned up at Watford, which they have in the past, we had, you'll remember this, Lawrence Bassini, the lunatic that went on TalkSport and was claiming he was buying Birmingham City. He was at our club. He virtually destroyed our club. You know, we were within days of going out of business, and the Pozzo's family came in from Italy, a bit mafia-esque like. Off he went. Now we've got a Premier League stadium, Premier League training facility. You know, I've seen players at my club that I would never see in a million years if he was in charge, and that's football. So I haven't got an issue at all with Newcastle having the owners that they've got. I'm sure Man City have, because they were the team that, you know, first sort of cultivated that, you know, that side of it. But the Premier League is, you know, for a team the size of Watford, it's almost a lottery you don't want to win, because you have to cut your cloth accordingly in the Championship. So it's very hard to then make that, you know, Fulham are a prime example of that, trying to make that jump into the Premier League, spend a load of, Nottingham Forest as well, spend a load of money, 20 million on Dennis. Thank you very much, Nottingham Forest. And then they'll get relegated, and then they are properly in the shit, because they've got players on 100 grand a week in the Championship that haven't performed in the Premier League, and it's really fine balance to get that. And with our club, we're quite fortunate that we have the model that we do. We bring in these young kids. You know, Decore, who's at Everton now, paid next to nothing for him, sold him for 30 million. You know, and he's all right. It's Everton. They're probably going to get relegated this year, but there's a lot. Igalo, another one, who went to Manchester United and did reasonably well. We paid nothing for him. And that's how we try and stay in the Premier League, by investing in those players. We lost our way for a couple of seasons in terms of our management structure, which was bizarre for me. But in general, I think 9 times out of 10 we've got it right from an ownership point of view. And there'll be things that your owners do that you won't understand or particularly agree with. Forget the Saudi aspect, but what your club is. But you don't care, as long as, you know, in a couple of years' time, you're pushing for the Premier League title, or you're pushing because that's where you should be. You should now be Arsenal and that top 6, what they would call their top 6, Spurs and all those, should be looking over their shoulders now, going, "Oh shit, you know, Newcastle mean business now." And that's going to be the test of Eddie Howe, who I think could be out of his depth at some point, not now, but could be. And the fans, because you guys make and break St James's Park. I always know that if we can get your fans on the back of your players, we stand, you know, 10 times more chance of beating you up at St James's Park than we do if all of you lot are behind them and backing them. And that'll be the big test for Newcastle in the next couple of years, how they invest that money and, you know, play. If they're building if they want quick turnaround titles and stuff like that, Joao Pedro is not the person to go and do that. You know, you've got to go and buy half the Paris Saint-Germain team. But if they want to build something and do it properly and be sustainable, as well as be, you know, pushing Man City, forget Man United, they're not part of it, Arsenal, Tottenham, or Chelsea, then they've got to do it in the right way. And that'll be the big thing for me as an outsider looking in, how Newcastle handle that, because it's massive pressure now for the owners, for everyone up there. Huge club, massive football club. Don't care what anyone says. That's a massive football club.
We are absolutely massive. Go on, Tony. Go on, Tony.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, when you look at Chelsea's new owner, Todd Bowley, when he came in, and he had this conference over in Germany, he mentioned this Big Six scenario, and he said, look, he says, forget about this Big Six. He says, there's another team about to join, so it's going to be the Big Seven, he says, and that's Newcastle. And I thought, do you know what? That was nice to hear from a Big Six club to actually come up and say that. You know, and I thought, you're new in the Premier League. You probably got stick off likes of Man City, Liverpool, Man United fans even. I mean, to be fair, I mean, like you said with Man United, they're now struggling at the bottom of the table. Now they're scrapping to try and get players in, to try and get them out of the dirt where they are at the moment.
Yeah.
But all that's down to mismanagement from their club at the top end.
Yeah, bang on. Correct.
I mean, when when them Glazers bought that club for 600 million, they took a loan out. Now they're still 600 million pound in debt, which is that loan. But you see, and at least where our owners who have come in, I mean, we had 14 years of hell under Mike Ashley, and you know, I don't even like to mention his name if I'm honest, but he was an absolute drain on our club. We got relegated twice through him as well.
Yeah.
When we finished 5th 10 years ago with Pardew as manager, which was a surprise if I'm honest, when we finished 5th, the season after, that's when he should have had the savvy to go out and spend a little bit more money and get some more players in, because then you could have kicked on to that next level. But because he didn't, we dropped back down the table again. Pardew left for Palace. We got compensation for that. And he didn't take that to the next level. Now, with the owners we have now, if for instance, we finish 6th next year or 7th, our owners will say, right, okay, so the following season, we're going to make sure we're better than 7th, and we're going to get that next level player to come in, because then you'll have European football.
Yeah. That's the problem. That's what I mean about Eddie Howe, when he might get out of his depth, because that's when the pressure will be on him, because those owners or wherever the backing comes from will expect when they start looking through their tally and go 50 million, blah, 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 whatever it is, whatever that tally is, what's our return? You know, what have we achieved in that time? And that's where I think Eddie Howe might come unstuck. I could be wrong. I could have him completely up the wrong way, but he got found out at Bournemouth eventually. And they were similar things to try and just look, we finished 17th, let's finish. And then they did. But eventually they got found out. And I just think long-term, Eddie Howe isn't the manager that's going to, where Newcastle finally go, we've made it. I don't think it'll be Eddie Howe in charge when that happens.
I think, well, to be honest with you, I think since Eddie Howe was at Bournemouth, he's now become a better manager, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because when he left Bournemouth, he wasn't one of these managers that leaves a club and basically sits on the backside watching Sky Sports News day in, day out and watching different things. Eddie Howe actually was quite proactive. So he went over to Italy to Juventus when Sarri was there, stood in the training ground with him to see how he does his training and to learn from him. Then he went after Atletico Madrid with Diego Simeone, saw how he done things on the training ground. He then went to Liverpool and done the same with Klopp, seeing how he done things on the training ground. So he got a better understanding of how to be a better manager. And some of our defensive, where you've seen some of our defensive play coming under Eddie Howe, he's learned that from Simeone at Atletico Madrid. Because we look at Simeone, he's quite defensive when his teams play. So I think Eddie Howe could be the elite manager, and he needs that chance, and he's getting the chance with us because he's now on this new long-term deal, which a lot of people, pundits, which really pee me off, to be honest with you, shouting, well, why are they giving him a contract on the eve of a new season? Well, why not? At least it's shown the security there. Plus, if you're going to bring players into the club, the first thing players want to see is, the manager. You don't want to come to a club and think, the manager's only got a couple of years left on his contract. Is he going to still be here? You know, at least they can come into the club and say, well, at least he's going to be here for the next 3, 4, 5 years, whatever his contract is, because we don't know the actual details of his contract, years-wise. So Eddie Howe could become our elite manager. And who's to say, if we do finish in European place, we could go out there and he could totally smash it and play us, might not necessarily win a European Cup in the next year or two, but he could do well for us and take us so far in Europe. I mean, we've had that with other managers, so, he's got to give, Eddie Howe's got to be given the chance. And I think he could become the elite manager because he's obviously been eyed up, not only along with Potter, for the England manager's job. Him and Potter are the two favourites for the next England manager. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've tied him down on the contract. So if England come calling, they can just go and do one, basically the FA, because they can go and look and get Potter instead.
They might do you a swap deal with Southgate.
We don't want any ex-smuggies in our club, thank you.
Yeah. Stop trying to offer me Wood then.
But I mean,
Brilliant.
Mason and John, I don't know if you agree with what I've just said about Eddie Howe, but I think he can become the league manager, and we've got to give him a chance. He's only 44, and
he's still young. Yeah.
Thing is with Klopp, quick thing I want to say about Klopp. So Klopp got his first team relegated from Bundesliga. He then went to Dortmund, did very well with Dortmund, made his name at Dortmund, and then he came to Liverpool, and look what he's done for Liverpool. So watch to see Eddie Howe can't do exactly the same. I'll leave it over to you now.
Absolutely. Well said, Tony. Well said. You've got to give him time. You've got to give Eddie time. And if, in my opinion, if Eddie does have to move on, they want a big ambition manager. You know my choice of manager, Tony. I mentioned it before. I love to get him in the ass sort of thing. But in a minute, Eddie Howe's doing fantastically well. And we've got to keep him 110%. Yeah? Forget the England job. He's the face of Newcastle United, and he's going to win some trophy. Guaranteed. So we've got some comments as well. What I like about Vickers Road is that it looks like very similar to the Melbourne stand. It used to look like in the late 80s and early 90s. Ramos scored tonight. Yes, we got that Chris mate. He scored, and Eddie didn't get found due to Bournemouth. Had massive injuries in defence, but a run they had and got relegated. Remember, if VAR was turned on, Villa would have gone relegated. That's a fair shout, mate. And
Watford would have stayed up as well.
Well, do you remember that goal? Wasn't it against Sheffield United? Villa scored
United.
The goal decision system. Hawkeye wasn't working.
Yeah. I felt that one.
If that was working, Villa would have gone down.
Exactly. And rightly so. How does you judge Eddie as top six manager? He's never had the opportunities at this level before. Although, love his style of football and hope he's successful with us. Tom, well said, man. Look, at the end of the day, Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job. If the season started in January, up till now, Mason, we'd have been in the top four.
Oh, for sure. Since he's come in, it's been a bit of fresh air. He's got us playing attacking football. The players look a lot fitter than a certain manager. I don't want to name. And if the players are just up for it, in all my years of supporting Newcastle, which is 10 years, this is the best Newcastle side I've seen supporting the club. And Eddie Howe is the best manager for Benitez. This Eddie Howe was just my favourite manager of supporting Newcastle in this last 10 years. Just the way he's got with playing, the way he's got the players playing, and I just can't wait for this season.
Yeah, that's fair. Go on, Carl.
And just for the way he is with obviously he's went to Atletico with Simeone, Liverpool with Klopp. He's went with top quality managers, and he wants to be like them. He is still young. He's still hungry. He still wants the best out of the club. Just shows you why he turned out Celtic, because he wants to stay in the Premier League. Because he wants to fight to be up the top in the Premier League compared to the Scottish Premier League.
I totally agree, 110%, Mason. And the thing is, right, that's why he's on a new long-term contract with us, yeah. And look, at the end of the day, me personally, I changed his title from head coach to manager, so Eddie can do what he wants. At the end of the day, right? And he plays great football. He made better players a lot better, fitter. It's all there, and I hope that Eddie stays in Newcastle for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, yeah. And I hope he does that. Talking about managers, how do you feel about the way you appoint and sack managers quicker than most? Things been 40 managers the last 8 years. Is there any you look back and wish they were stayed?
Any that have stayed? No. Do you know what? There's one. Yeah, there's two actually. There's one. I didn't like the way we got rid of Nigel Pearson towards the end of the season. We got relegated. He just stuffed Liverpool 3-0, and then not long after that, he got binned off. But allegedly headbutted one of our players. But anyway. And probably Cisco, who took us up from the Championship. And then we obviously had Ranieri, and then we had Hodgson in the ones last season. But would we have been any worse off with Cisco if we'd kept hold of him? Probably not. In terms of, he was playing attractive football, and he was playing football that was at least getting us in the opponent's box, whereas the other two gardeners were, they're teaching us how to dig shrubs or something. I don't know what they were doing during training. But it was dreadful last season. It was one of the worst Watford teams that I've ever seen in my. I've been going since '89, and it was up there for some of the best. But just to answer the question very briefly, no, I don't like the way that we deal with managers. I think it's the one aspect that is very hard to explain to other football fans why we do it if you don't really understand the model, and also. There's no continuity at the club. You just mentioned there Eddie Howe, who's from Watford, by the way. So I hope he's successful. You want to back a manager. A manager wants to put a stamp on a team and make something of that team. We don't have that opportunity. But by the time you've got some sort of idea of what formation they like playing, they've been sacked. It's not. It's difficult. So yeah, no, very short answer. I hate the way we deal with managers, but we have been promised that that's now the past, and that Rob Edwards, who's a young up and coming manager, will be given time, patience to hopefully do the job. And the football that he's played so far this season, have to say, hats off to him. It's attacking, it's nice, possession based, which is again something strange for a Watford fan. But yeah, no. So fingers crossed, we have now got that monkey off our back.
Big up to the Watford board as well. Finally seeing sense and keep the guy, keep him all the time. Thank you for the message there, Tony. And pretty sure that. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Sunday's game, the game between Newcastle Man City. But we'll come on to yours as well, Carl, as a guest as well. How do you think, Tony, they're going to pan out against Man City? It's going to be a tough game, and you say you're going to be positive.
Well, you've got to be positive, haven't you, really? I mean, I would like to say, because we're playing City early, I would like to have said, well, before the season started, I thought, playing City early, that's good because we can catch them cold. But, as we've seen, the last two games have been on fire. They beat West Ham 2-0, and then obviously they beat Bournemouth 4-0. I got my prediction wrong on that one because I thought they would have beat Bournemouth at least 5-0. So
you did.
Bournemouth did well to keep them to 4-0. I mean, it's going to be a tough game. But then I look back to 3 years ago. They had a decent side back then when they had the likes of Aguero. And I mean, don't forget Edison's still in goal for them as well. And we went one down, and then Rondon equalised, and then Richie scored with our penalty. Now, we can do that again. There's no reason why we can't. We've probably got a better team now than we did have 3 years ago. Even though there's some of them players still play for us, the likes of Richie and Lascelles. I'm going, well, my heart says 2-1 to Newcastle. But my head, which I'm going with my head, because, I'm going to go as a 1-1 draw, because I think will be a different side to what City played last season. Yes, away from home, we were absolutely terrible against City away from home. Same as the home game, Eddie had just not long been in the club, so he didn't have his ideas implemented properly. And we were going through that tough period when we were really playing terrible at times. So, and then also in that game, if you remember when we got beat at home to City, Fraser got basically assaulted by Edison because the way he was taken out was absolutely disgraceful, and how the referee on VAR said, that's no penalty. It should have been a penalty all day in my eyes. And even a lot of neutral fans said the same, that was definitely a penalty that day. So we were robbed of that. We could have brought that game back, I think, to 1-1 at the time. So, so let's be positive and think do you know what? If we can get a point now, I'll happily take a point. Because, like as I said, last week's game against Brighton, although we didn't play great, but it's a point gained. And a point gained is all you want. And it keeps the unbeaten run going. Plus, it's a battle of the two best defences in the Premier League because we conceded a goal, albeit it's only 2 games. But somebody's going to get breached on Sunday. Well, both teams are, because I'm going 1-1. So, that's my tip for Sunday. I think a 1-1 draw, but who knows? If we lose, we just move on to the next game. We just have to put the back of our minds. But can I just say, if we do lose,
I
do hope if we do lose, I hope it's in a way that we can hold our heads up and see, well, actually, we played bloody well against them, and it was just damn unlucky that we lost that game. As long as we put in a great performance, it's certainly an improvement from last Saturday, then that's all I want to see. I just want to see them lads go out there and give their best, give their 100%. And if they can do that, then there's no reason of getting a positive result. But if we did lose, at least we can sit back and say, well, actually, we've played well, hold my hands up. Man City are the best team in the Premier League, and that shows.
Absolutely. Mason?
Sunday, I just hopefully it's a draw, because I've got family who support Man City and they live in Manchester, so it'd be a good game, because obviously Man City, I've got a soft spot for them because of obviously my family support Man City. I think it'll be a tough game. Obviously, with Tony saying about the penalty last season, just hope if we get the same objective, they're going to have to give it, because that was a straight pen last season. But going into the game with the 2 best defensive records in the league, I think it'll be that tight. I feel like it'll be a 1-1 draw.
I'll take a point there, 110%. And Carl, from outside looking in, Newcastle and Man City.
Yeah, tough game, innit? You got to keep Haaland quiet. I think he's going to start kicking on. I think he's the key to that. He just gives them something different this season. I suppose I better play to the audience, really. I'll go Newcastle to win 2-1.
Wow. I hope you're correct. I'm going to go for Man City win, I'm afraid, by 3-1. I've said that, and I'm going to stick by that with a score. But I think they're going to be too good for us on the day, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong, though. And I got one from FIFA, Joao Pedro. John, 5 goals at Udinese, 0 goals at Watford, first season, second season, 7 in the Championship, Prem 28, 3 goals. He's not a player we need. He is, you know what? Sure. And big up to Ben from Canada. Cape Bet on here, on the side of the pond here. Hope you're okay. Lincoln Pulisic to either Newcastle or United. What we're hearing, not a lot really. It's just rumours at the minute. And one thing I will say, that Chelsea will not sell or loan out Pulisic to Man United. Absolutely no chance. And Foxy's chatting to RTG as well. And he's got.
He did. I was going to say he got 10 goals for them. Yeah, he's right. So old FIFA, whatever his name was, needs to get more digits out and count them.
Absolutely. And Sunderland getting beat, by the way, by 2-0 against Sheffield United, and always down to 10 lads.
Get in.
So,
yeah. Are we the lads? Are we the lads?
We're the lads, baby. Hey. Love it. So, what about your game, Watford? You got Preston. Is that Village Road?
No. We're up at Preston. So we're up there. I'm going. It's going to be a tough game, and I briefly said it earlier on. I really do think it depends on who's playing for us. If we're missing Joao Pedro, we look really toothless against Birmingham last night, and we've only scored, although we've beaten Sheffield United, Burnley, both at home, only by 1 goal. So I do think it'll be a tight game at Preston, but I fancy us to nick it. But really depends on our striking options come Saturday.
Brilliant stuff. Good luck to you on Saturday against Preston North End. We're going to wrap it up there because there's going to be a short one tonight. And I've got to ask you, Carl, did you enjoy coming on the show?
Yeah, it was lovely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Hopefully, we can do it again when we're back in the Premier League.
Definitely. Yeah. We're definitely going to get you back on, mate, for the Premier League between Newcastle, Watford, Newcastle. Get on the previews as well, which we'll make sure we get you back on, my guy. So, and where do we find you on your socials?
So we're at the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes podcast, which is available Spotify, anywhere you can get a podcast, we're on there. Also on YouTube, which is the Matchday Vlogs, where I go all over the country, normally drinking and eating. That's available at DNSYE_podcast. So yeah, subscribe, be appreciated.
Definitely going to check it out, man. It sounds very, very interesting.
Who doesn't like pies and beer and football? Come on.
I don't drink alcohol, mate. I don't drink.
All right, well,
soft drinks. I mean, pies. Yes, sometimes
pies, soft drinks, and football. There you go. Something for everyone.
Absolutely. It's there. Enjoy the food. Do like a podcast from there as well. Check out the food. Do a preview from there as well. Cool. I take it all idea. Mason, where do you find you, mate?
Mason 4 on Twitter. I just want to say good luck to Watford for the rest of the season.
Top man. Thank you. Thanks, Mason. Appreciate that. Same to you guys. Same to you
as well. And thank you. And Tony.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at TonyTooney31. Give me a follow and I'll follow you back. And yeah, good luck for Watford for the season. Can I just say, I thought last season when you sacked your first manager, is it Cisco?
Cisco, yeah.
I thought he got that. I thought he got a rough part of that deal because I thought you played some decent football, but I don't think he was given the chance, was he?
We should have kept him. He got us promoted, but the two idiots that we got in after him, killed us in terms of transfers and whatever. So if we just stuck with him, who knows? We might have stayed up. I've just seen that comment from Christopher. Yes, I do think we'll win the championship, Christopher. I hope so, but we have to keep Joao Pedro to do that. So that really relies on you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to make that signing very, very quickly if we are to get him. Otherwise, by Monday it'll be too late, and you won't sign that other lad as well.
Yeah, that's it. That's the key for that. That's the key. Yeah,
that's going to be a problem. And guys, if you like the video, like what you see, the links are in the description there. Okay, so I don't need to read it out, but please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, also super chat, also be a common member for 99p, and also leave your comment in the comment section down below. Watford fans, Newcastle fans, give us your comments on Cole's performance today. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. He really was. And he'll be definitely coming back on me sure again. And if we do sign him, I'm going to try and get back on and tell him his feelings. And I'll probably go on this channel as well, just tell him my feelings.
Yeah, no, we'll do so. 100%, we'll do so. Yeah, if you do take Joao Pedro, we'll get you to come over. We'll do a podcast.
You very much. I really enjoy that, man. Thank you so much indeed for that. And it looks like Sheffield United scored again. No, could I just show you? Yeah, before we go, Tony, Carl, Tony's going to show you a few stats on Pedro. Is that all right? And you won't be too long. And
go for it.
Tony, if you send that link, mate, and then I'll just click all begin, and I'll just click into us, and then it's just what it is. He's trying to show us about. There we are. There he is.
So is that on screen now?
Yeah, it's on there now. Go for it.
Right. So we got Joao Pedro there. He's Brazilian, 20-year-old, 5'12". His preferred foot's right. Shirt number 10. This is last season in the Premier League. So as you can see here, his heat maps here. Plays predominantly on the left. Can do right. He does track back as well. So he does go back. And he can play as a left winger or a striker. But as Carl says, he's probably better playing as a number 10. He started 15 games last season, played a total of 28, scored 3 goals. So he's scoring frequencies every 546 minutes. He missed 6 big chances, which is, to be fair, a lot less. Is 3 less than what Chris Wood missed last season, and he got 1 assist. His key passes per game is 0.7, but accurate per game is 70%, which isn't too bad. Own half is 77%. Opposition half is 65%. So again, he can pass the ball around, which is quite good. And yeah, he's successful dribbles are 58% per game. So he seems to be quite a skillful lad, if I'm honest. And we'll just go to this season now, the championship.
He's got a lovely first touch.
Yeah,
he kills the ball very, very quickly. It's that next decision that he probably sums his stats up there. What he does with it the next.
So there's his heat map for the season already in 4 games. Again, he's tracked back again at the left side. He has got some right-sided as well. He's played there. 4 games, 1 goal, no assists yet. He hasn't missed any big chances in the first 4 games. His dribbling again is quite good. So technically he doesn't seem a bad player, and there is stuff there that can be worked on him. And as I say, he's passing 67% and 80% in his own half. Bearing in mind this is a championship, but even in the Premier League he didn't do too bad last season. I think really he's not a bad player, and he's not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination. But, give the guy a chance, let Eddie Howe work on him and his coaching staff, and that could improve tenfold. I just wanted to show you that, just so people had an idea of what he's like.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Tony. And I hope that I think you're spot on there, Carl. Do you think he's correct?
Yeah. As I say, he's got a wonderful first touch. It's that decision making, what he does with that second ball. It's nice to see that he does track back, because you do find him in odd areas, and I think I mentioned that right at the beginning of this. You sometimes think, why is he there? But it probably shows his work rate. So yeah, no, it's good. Thanks.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you for the stats there, Tony. And that's it. There, we're going to wrap up. He goes to socials, which is great. Thank you very much indeed. Cole, you've been fantastic.
No worries.
And you know what? You got to get back on again. Mason and Tony, get you back on again. We're doing the match previews tomorrow. I've got a Man City fan as well, but I'm working on him as well, which I think is great. So he'll be coming on tomorrow. And like I said, please have the honor to subscribe, and also super chat, and also to become a member. I should be back tomorrow for the preview, and I shall see you guys very, very soon. And have a fantastic evening, and take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.